In the last section, we made a change to our pod configuration file. The very particular property that we updated was the image right here. We then fed that back into kubectl, and we saw the updated pod using the describe command. In this section, I want to make another change to this configuration file. Now, this next change we're going to make is going to appear to be a very small change, like similar in nature to changing the image, but when we try to feed the configuration file or the updated configuration file into kubectl, we're going to very quickly see an error message. So let's go through this process. We're going to see the error message, and we'll talk about why we are seeing the error message that we're going to see. All right, so inside my client pod file, I'm going to find the container port listed down here. Now remember, multi-worker doesn't do anything with container port 3000. No usage whatsoever. Multi-worker has no ability to receive or make outgoing requests or anything like that. So we'll just make an arbitrary change here. I'm going to change the container port from 3000 to about 9999, like so. Okay, so totally arbitrary change, no rhyme or reason behind it. I'm going to save this file now, and then we're going to try to update our pod in place by using the kubectl apply command again. And again, when we run this command, you're going to see an error message, and we're going to talk about why we are seeing the error message. All right, so I'm going to save the file. I'll then flip back over to my terminal, and I'll do kubectl apply client pod.yaml again. Now, when I run this command, we're going to see this tremendous amount of output right here. I want you to scroll up to the very top of this message. And up here, you're going to see the reason for the error. Essentially, it says that we are not allowed to update any pod configuration piece other than the image used, some other image property, some active deadline something, or tolerations property. So this error message right here is essentially saying that when we update a pod, we are only allowed to update these 4 different configuration properties. And so this definitely kind of goes very much in the face of what I just told you about how we make updates. I had just told you 2 seconds ago that, yeah, we make updates to existing objects by updating the configuration file and then feeding that into kubectl. But in this case, we just made a very simple change to our configuration file, and we very quickly saw an error message. So how do we use this kind of configuration file-based process of updating something if kubectl won't allow us to change something as basic as a container port? Well, of course, there is a workaround to this. So let's take a quick pause right here, and we're going to come back to the next section, and we're going to start to investigate how we can use a different type of object besides a pod to be allowed to change any piece of configuration tied to a pod that we want to. So quick break, and I'll see you in just a minute.